lectures in the areas of Islamic banking and finance. And Islamic Economics Association is promoting Sharia compliant standards, strategies, and also we are trying to bring international figures, experts, speakers to serve students and banks and professionals by providing necessary education and lessons, strategies, and also solutions to the financial contemporary issues and banking issues as well. So hence, Islamic Economic Association is becoming now a global platform for Islamic banking and finance under the supervision of Kuwait University and a group of experts like Dr. Ala Al-Ubaid and all the speakers and experts from around the world. So we do conduct our lectures and activities in both Arabic and English language. So without delaying further, let me introduce our guest speaker today, Mr. Mughees, who is Islamic Banking Advisor, Bank Nizwa Oman, and FinTech and Digital Banking Specialist, MIT US. And he is also Vice President of the IAAOIFI Kyrgyzstan, Pioneer Head of Islamic Finance, CBFC, FS, under the Central Bank of Oman. And he is also Vice Chairman of the Education Board of Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions. Mr. Mughees is also Vice Chairman Advisory Board, Fingal Global Incorporation Canada, and Member Advisory Board, Global Brand Ambassador, the Halal Chain, and many more as he's holding positions globally, mashallah. And this is also our honor to know that we are very much pleased to know that he was awarded as FinTech Leader of the Year 2020 from Turkey and featured on the front cover of a top international financial magazine as global personality, a strategist and thought leader. And Mr. Mughees has published around 50 articles and research papers and has so far delivered over 100 keynote addresses, policy talks, expert sessions, and workshops. So we are very much honored to welcome Mr. Mughees Shaukat to conduct today's lecture on Islamic Framework for Behavioral Economics, Socio-Economic Justice. Please welcome Mr.
Thank you very much, Brother Muhammad, and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I'm always honored to, be a good source to contribute to the initiative of this beautiful Islamic Economic Association that you guys are running over there. And may Allah bless that, and may Allah give me more tawfiq to keep playing my role in taking this, lovely association forward, and have it contribute in the right manner, in the right way, with the right maqasid for the development of the whole Islamic economic and financial sector, including halal and whatever comes under this umbrella. And this is why, as you must have noticed from my previous talks on this beautiful platform, that I always try and hit on core areas, whatever tawfiq and Kuwa Allah gives me, my niya always is to share it because it is a common property. And number two, to share it in a way by targeting and touching core issues or core areas that create the very basic and fundamental understanding of this discipline. And if we do not indulge and understand and build ourselves on these crucial core mother areas for this discipline, we call it Islamic economics and finance, we are always be misfiring the whole system. We will always be underperforming the whole system. We are always be undermining the falsafa of the whole system and creating further noise and confusion end to end from the practitioner side, so the academia, and of course the clientele and the general public side. So it is very important. Just give me a bit, brother. Sorry about that. I mean, it was an important call I had to take. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is what the online systems is, you're multitasking. So what I was trying to tell you is that, again, this is another session where I'm trying to attempt, with the help and support of Allah, inshallah ta'ala, to ensure that I also, and even in this session, try and come up and discuss with you guys among the core areas that are zaruri for such a discussion. Somebody is saying no slides, and here they are, the slides. I hope everybody can see that. This is what the topic is. And if we do not understand these basic core philosophies and the orientations of an Islamic economic and financial system, we are always misunderstanding the system and doing zulm to the system, and as a natija, zulm to us to implement that system and practice that system. So unless such core areas and such core topics are not covered and people are not made aware or understand these areas, I think the potency of the industry or the actuality of the industry would never be materialized, to say the least. And this is why we have to understand the Islamic economic system for core issues. And in this session, understand what does the mind and spirit of the Islamic framework is, that if anybody adopts it, any society, any individual, any country, any region, any community adopts it, what does it offer for that community, that individual, that society, that country, that region, in terms of translating and also improving their behavioral aspects, and in this case, economic behavior. And as a natija, once the behavior is fine-tuned and refined due to the practices of a well understood and established Islamic financial framework, in this case, an economic framework, as a natija, by translating itself with the behavioral norms and behavioral aspect, gives you a better socio-economic justice natij. You see what I mean? So you have to understand, and these are base topics. This should have been dealt in detail 30, 40 years ago. If they are not, and people are unaware of such intricacies, such core intricacies about an Islamic economic system, it means we have misfired the projection, understanding, and promotion of Islam, or framing of Islamic economic system from the very base of it. So if this topic, to many people, if it is looking very new topic, then it means it's a 40-year-old topic that I'm talking about now. This should have been done 30, 40 years ago. This falsafa should have been made mazboot 30, 40 years ago than what I'm doing right now. And this is what my worry is. The leish, I think, that we have lost 2 generations of young fuqaha, or modern Islamic economic thinkers and scholars. You know, the definition of a scholar is, is that he does not only have ilm about the subject, he has hikmah of that too. There is a difference between hikmah and ilm. Ilm is the base. Hikmah is the power that allows us to use that ilm in an effective way, in a way that we'd use it rightly in the right time. So the effective usage of that ilm or that wisdom or that fikr, hikmah gives you that power or tawfiq. So ilm without hikmah is dangerous. You see what I mean? These are those hikmah topics in the whole Islamic economic and financial falsafa that allows us to use the ilm of Islamic economics and finance and implement it in the most right, timely, and dynamic manner. So these are the hikmah topics that I'm trying to bring forth as compared to, the other topics that are so well, entertained by mass media or mass academia or scholarship. So this is what the whole story is, and that's what my fikr behind, or the niyyah behind coming up with this topic. And I've done a beautiful work that is transforming, inshallah, itself into a book status soon. And we're talking about some publishers, the main draft is ready, and then soon such and other couple of other topics that I'm coming up in a series of research works and books, inshallah, with Allah's tawfiq. Let me, so moving forward, guys, now understand, again, I've summarized this in a bit, but understand this by reading this slide for the moment. So this is what I'm trying to establish over here. You see, sometimes people misjudge when they talk about Islam or when they talk about Islamic finance as a result, because this comes from Islam. Sometimes people misjudge or are not totally aware that what does Islam or Islamic finance eventually ought to achieve as a primary objective. Oftentimes when you ask people that what is the main maqsad of Islam, people will say justice, or people will say some other superlative main objective. But the basic maqsad to me of Islam, and hence eventually Islamic finance, for us to use Islam, the rules of Islam / Islamic finance in this case, to achieve and prosper and concrete unity among the ummah. Unity, ukhwa. Islam is all about creating and then eventually maintaining unity. If somebody talks about it gives love, it gives salvation, it gives salama, it gives, khair, or it gives justice, these are byproducts that when you combine them together, it eventually makes a society more united. The concept of Tawheed, if people understand, in one of the strong pillars of Islam, basically Tawheed is the mother concept. And through the rules of the oneness, and unity is also meaning the same thing. So this Islamic falsafa, the rules of Islam / anything that comes out of Islam, including Islamic economics and finance, basically the end game is to assure that communities or creatures or the creation of Allah, in this case insan, which is an ashraf creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maintains themselves as one unit. Unity is the main maqsad. Inclusivity is the main maqsad, which right now is being also encapsulated in what we call as UN SDGs via the 25 goals or 17 main goals that they have under the SOCIO-ECONOMIC Development. This is what the main maqsad is. To achieve that, if we don't understand this main maqsad, we don't understand what is the main maqsad of Islamic finance. To achieve that, one of the things that assures that yes, a society is moving towards unity, or is a very well connected or a united society. And of course, a united society means a trustworthy society, a risk-sharing society, so many other samarat of a united society. So one of the things that sort of gives you a clear signal, there are signals, how do I know that the society is tightly united or it's a well-unified society as compared to another society? One of the things, or the main criteria that allows me to judge very clearly that society, wow, this society is much more trustworthy and much more united as a teacher, is how just the society is. Justice is a byproduct that also allows us to check how united the society is, the main maqsad of Islam / Islamic muamalat and finance. If I need to know what is the unity strength in a society or a community, even in a home, I just need to check how just the society is overall, and how, in this case, economically just the society is. You see what I mean? This is what I'm trying to build up. And this criteria is so important to be used that if, masalan, any product, any service, any operation that is being delivered by Islamic finance, Islamic bank, takaful, sukuk, and all this and that, it has to meet these end criteria through the process of ensuring economic justice, achieving unity. So the end result of any activity that is produced by any Islamic financial institution, be it in any capacity, scope, or scale, the end result of that activity, be it tangible or intangible activity, is to serve the maqsad of unity, to maintain unity in ukhwa in the society, the tawheedi concept. And it achieves this by creating a service or a product that assures equitable economic justice. We'll come to equity in a bit, but the criteria is that if I want to create an Islamic financial product, this product has to assure end-to-end or improve end-to-end socio-economic justice to the end clients and hence the society. If that is achieved, and this is how the product is designed, then eventually, sooner or later, you realize that as a natija of that equity that translated itself by improving or giving better socio-economic justice to a society, the society will become more united, and the bank or the service providing entity, whoever did that, will become a very, apple of the eye of that whole society. People will look upon that society, and you don't even need to spend fulus on marketing, branding, and you'll automatically create this brand and ukhwa loyalty of those end clients. This is so simple. People don't understand that. Now, because of these I call them intellectual deficiencies. Because of these intellectual deficiencies, where I'm forced to, as a matter of fact, to discuss and bring this topic in the forefront. Because of these intellectual deficiencies that should have been dealt 40 years ago, and had that been dealt 40 years ago, a simple-minded person like me would have been working on some other topic that is more relevant to the Jadid times, rather than going back 40 years and trying to come up with such topics in 2021. You see what I'm trying to say? Because of such intellectual deficiencies that has been there, and it's a fact, and we have to accept that. This is why the trajectory of framing, understanding, implementing, promoting, projecting, even educating Islamic finance is misdirected. So now to us, liquidity management is a massive issue. Now to us, adequate risk management is a massive issue. Now to us, for example, a relative low product as well as other similar-ish topics are the center of attention. These topics, have those intellectual deficiencies been not there, those topics must not have arisen. You see what I mean? A scholar or a society that is clear about the end-to-end falsafa that I've just discussed to you, the end natija is maintaining unity in the society and improving it and ensuring it through socio-economic justice. If this is how the society is built, then the society well ahead of time solves already automatically the issues that may lead to liquidity management, product development, falan. Those issues would never have arisen or become the center of focus. To me, these are non-issues. If these are the issues, then it means we at the back end misfired or misunderstood or misimplemented the system, and hence the intellectual deficiency. We do not understand what is the actual maqsad, and hence how to drive towards that actual maqsad of Islam or Islamic finance. And this is why a number of the research works, banks' profitability, capital market products, comparison with conventional and Islamic finance in different facets, etc., etc. These are good topics, but are they really contributing to actual value addition where they're actually trying to fill the gap of actual deficiencies that is left 40, 50 years ago? Answer is no. So this is why it's very important to indulge in these topics. To do so, I want to introduce you to this concept that I've learned, from my own teachers, and I'll come back to this raison d'etre slides and how people try and attempt to address these issues. I want to introduce you to a concept which I've learned from my very, very close, teachers and whatever ecosystem, alhamdulillah, that Allah has blessed me with. Something that I call as the process of becoming. What I'm trying to do, what I label as a process of becoming, is I'm trying to make an unconscious society, unconscious in the terms that they don't understand these fully. and hence the intellectual deficiencies. This is a signal that the society is unconscious vis-a-vis its actual themes or understandings. So I'm trying to first apply it on myself to come out of this unconscious, because if, for example, liquidity management, product innovation, risk management, falan is your core issues, then you're an unconscious society, because you are not conscious to actual issues, because you've been led by an intellectually deficient society. You see what I mean over here? So right now, the Islamic financial system is understanding wise, or the intellect side of it wise, is at an unconscious state. Why do I say that? Because your non-issues are issues. Issues that should never have been issues are now issues. It means this is an unconscious. They are not conscious about the actual issues. You see what I mean? As a natija, what happens is what you think is a cause and effect becomes blurred. You see, causes are the challenges, effects are never the challenge. An unconscious society, because they are always blurred and confused between what is a cause and what is an effect, they start turning effects as also challenges and start working on addressing the effects, not the cause of that effect. Causes are this is how I understand that an individual or a society is unconscious. Quran is very clear in Al-Baqarah, ayah 275. This is the sort of unconsciousness Quran talks about, that those who practice riba will be driven so majnoon by shaitan, or so unconscious by the shaitan, that they will never be able to distinguish between what is al-bay' and what is al-riba, and they will be saying it's all the same thing. But then the Quran says, be conscious to this fact, become conscious to the actual understanding, so that you can distinguish between what is al-bay' and what is riba. If you're unconscious to it and you're intellectually deficient, then your cognitive ability is unconscious, and you will always keep on saying, well, it looks the same. And this is what the societies are doing. They think Islamic banking and finance is the same. So I'm trying to move myself from this unconscious state by targeting the right topics that helps me become conscious. I've also said semi-conscious. At least let me become semi-conscious. It's a journey. You move from unconscious to a semi-conscious state, then to actual consciousness, where you come into grips about reality, the actual stuff that is going on, to semi-subconsciousness, and then to subconsciousness. And then from there, you move to semi-societal consciousness, and then to social consciousness, and then to semi-meta, and then eventually meta-conscious. This is the final frontier where, you try and become a mu'min, from a mu'min to a muttaqi level and stuff like that. So first we have to become conscious in Islamic finance. Once we become conscious in Islamic finance, then we'll start realizing what is the actual falsafa and what's the end result of Islamic finance. Once you have the end result of Islamic finance, then you will, inshallah ta'ala, see that let me just very quickly get done with this. Once you're getting semi-conscious or conscious, then you see, oh my God, this is where the actual system is lacking. This is where the deficiency is. Let me remove that deficiency first, because if you remove that deficiency, that addresses automatically 10 effects as a natija of that deficiency. And because you were unconscious, you were thinking effects are actual challenge. So liquidity management actually is not an issue. I'm just using it as an example. Because you are unconscious and you're working on an intellectual deficiency that does not allow you to become semi or full conscious to it. You keep targeting it as a challenge. You see what I mean? So this is what I want you to do, and all of us, including myself, that we have to start our journey on this process of becoming. And becoming what? Becoming a mu'min in Islamic finance, becoming a muttaqi in Islamic finance, of course in Islam as well. Becoming first conscious about Islamic finance and go to the next level of subconsciously understanding it. This is where in another session or in another article, I've mentioned this, the believer and visionary status of Islamic finance, not a knower of Islamic finance. Knowers are unconscious category. The moment you want to transform yourself to a believer or a visionary category in anything, you have to become conscious of the field or the discipline, and then further on perform and go in depth. You see, I remember a scholar, hikmah comes when you reach from a conscious to a subconscious level. This is the hikmah zone. And when you achieve hikmah about something and then you start applying it into your ilm and use your ilm effectively, then automatically you become a source of khair to yourself, your neighbors, your family, and eventually your society. So your then subconsciousness translates into you becoming societal consciousness. And this is where Al-Amru bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, which is a completely different topic. This is where the Islamic governance system comes in, led by people who are necessarily subconscious about the rules and regulation of Islam at this level deep. And then once they are given the right strategic position by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they transfer it to the societal behavior. And of course, by themselves and eventually overall as a society reach a meta-conscious level. So this is the journey of not only Islam, but Islamic finance. And I'm telling you something, guess what? My perception is if we reach only the conscious level, you will see different colors of Islamic finance. You will see a lot of noise getting, dampened by people who operate Islamic finance from a conscious state of understanding and affairs and implementation. Let me very quickly, pause over here and see if there are any questions. This is a very, very important slide, because if you understand this process of becoming, the journey of becoming, you understand very quickly what I'm about to tell you. Are there any questions so far?
Okay, thank you. I think anyone, if has a question, maybe can write in the question answer section or may raise their hand. I can see one person raised hand already.
I intentionally stopped here because I want people to ask me on this slide, because this is such an important, I can have a full session just on this slide. I mean, ours can be discussed just on this slide because it's such an important slide, but I wanted to intentionally, I put this slide just at the last moments because I wanted this to be given to you guys.
Yeah. So if anybody has question, please, you may write your question or you may raise your hand. Yeah, okay, Dr. Ilyas. Please welcome Dr. Ilyas.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Muhyiddin. Thank you for the presenter. It's an amazing presentation, by the way. And I enjoy when he is talking about the things or the related to the Islamic banking. Regarding to the slide, he requests that, is there any question? Yes, I have a question regarding to the process of becoming. Do you think that the public should be conscious in all things related to the Islamic finance or Islamic banking transactions? From my point of view and my experience in Islamic banking, some people, yes, they do not know anything about the Islamic transactions and Islamic finance and the difference between the Islamic banking and the conventional banking. And they should know for the time being what is the main difference between both of them. But in general, we can say that the public need just only the main differences. They are not scholars or Sharia scholars to differentiate exactly what is the difference between the Islamic banking. They want just to make their transactions not prohibited, and they are not bearing any riba from their transactions. And because of this, they come to the Islamic banking. So this is my comment. And if you have anything related to it.
What's your name? What's your name, brother?
Dr. Ilyas. Yes.
Dr. Ilyas, yes.
Dr. Ilyas, Mubarak to you. It is such a beautiful observation. And I'm so happy that it means that I was clear in putting my case, because the level of question tells me that I was clear in my message portraying to you. You see, you're right. The second part that I wanted to now offer, because as a natija of your beautiful question, is the fact that this process of becoming varies from person to person. For a Sharia scholar, the criterias are higher. He has to be more conscious. He has to be more subconscious as compared to, for example, a CEO of a bank or a bank staff or a junior staff or a general public. You see what I mean? You're right. A same level of consciousness cannot be for the same people, because each person is different, coming from a different background, carries a different status. So if I'm at the Sharia board, my level of consciousness lazim for me has to be zyada, intentionally zyada as compared to the client or the customer. If the level of conscious of everybody is the same, then this is Jannah. You see what I mean?
Yes.
In dunya, we have to operate as per the status of the, I'm talking, you see, even if this is also true in Islam itself. Lesh, you have an Islamic scholar and you listen to that Islamic scholar, you see, because that Islamic scholar has been put in a higher position, ilm-wise, hikmah-wise, or whatever way Allah has deemed it fit for him or her, and he's been given the tawfiq, and hence the consciousness which he himself or herself is further working hard to maintain and develop further and reach the other stages too, eventually meta consciousness. Remember, insan is ashraf, Dr. Ilyas. This journey is allowed for everybody. Anybody can perform this journey. I don't have to be I have to meet certain prerequisites to enter this journey and reach meta consciousness. As long as I'm insan and I am ashraf, I'm allowed to perform that journey. You see what I mean? So the access to performing that journey is applicable to each and every living insan. When it comes to, and of course, each insan then performs this journey as per his or her capacity that Allah grants. The more I am aware of this journey, the more I will be stimulated to perform this journey, and the more I at least would do dua to Allah Ta'ala, please Allah, make me perform this journey and have me achieve meta consciousness with all your support and all your effort, because I have this niyyah to do this and complete this journey. Then Allah will accordingly supply you facilitation, hikmah, knowledge, time by time release information and support so that you can perform that journey. Anybody can perform that journey depending how he or she is conscious about that journey. And not everybody is conscious about that journey. You see what I mean? This is why then differentiation comes. A Sharia scholar, lazim it is for him to be more conscious about this whole journey as compared to any other person down the line. So for example, a customer, and you're right, a customer, for example, for him, semi-consciousness about Islamic finance is enough, because his level shouldn't allow it. It's okay for his level to be semi-conscious. That's it. But for a Sharia scholar, he has to be societal conscious, minimum. You see, because he's delivering Islamic finance to them. This is the difference between a teacher and a student. You see, a teacher has to be at a higher level for a student. Same applies from person to person. Even though the student can also do more hard work and reach the level of the teacher and even go beyond, because insan has that capacity. You see what you're getting the message, Dr. Ilyas? You see? So first thing first, this process, this journey of becoming is allowed for everybody. Anybody can do that. Anybody can think who wants to become a Sharia scholar, go do it. Ask Allah, He will arrange it for you. And we know stories that from where people started and where they have reached. But still, you need a society that is a mix of everybody. Somebody has to be at an unconscious level. As part of it has to be at a conscious level. Someone in a group of people has to be subconscious. Some of them has to be meta-conscious. It's a mixed bag that drives the society together. Because if everybody is at a meta-conscious level, then this is Jannah. This is not dunya. You see what I mean? This is the beauty of it. And everywhere there is a room for improvement, and you can go from one step to the next step and so on and so forth. And this is why people understand this, as a matter of fact, in one way or the other. And as a natija of a society that is progressing itself on this falsafa or this journey or process of becoming and intensely trying to awaken itself from an unconscious level to a to conscious to semi-subconscious to subconscious and so on and so forth. And eventually the end game is to become a mu'min or a muttaqi, meta-conscious. If a society is operating on this model, then that society or the government of that society, the individual behavior, this is where behavioral economics becomes important. This is what behavioral economics, in this case, I'm talking about behavioral economics because this is a financial and economic session. This is where behavior / economic behavior becomes so important because that will come as a natija of this. As a natija of this, any behavior that is oriented or implemented or modeled or dictated by this process of or journey of becoming, the nataij of that society or the behavior of that society, be it in economic behavior, would be different. The government would be behaving differently. The people would be behaving differently. Communities in the society, different sects would be behaving differently. Why? Because each member of the society has an end game. All has the same end maqsad, to be meta-conscious. And in this case, be meta-conscious about Islamic finance. And yes. I tell you something, Alias and everybody else, I tell you something. If such is the model, such is the behavioral model that is the outcome of that behavioral or process of becoming journey, man, oh man, Ya Allah. And this is the promise of Quran that in Pakistan, we have this famous regional poet called Allama Iqbal. He said that if you go on this journey, humans become so, because this journey allows humans to materialize and live their ashrafness that Allah has given every human. This is the journey that helps us live our ashrafness. You see what I mean? This journey will eventually make insan live its ashrafness so much that then Allah will be so impressed by that being or that insan that Allah will ask, tell me what you want. I'm with you. Normally we ask, Allah's will is our will, and of course it always is. But the beauty of it, you become so close to Allah, you become such a favorite of Allah in love relation. In this, you see, the love of Allah is not a normal love. And we say that He loves us 70 times more than our ummi. And you can imagine what crazy love He has for us. But this is much more than that. And the Quran has used this concept of wilaya. This is a different discussion. I don't want to go into that. But you start living the wilaya of Allah, the unconditional, supernatural love of Allah, if you perform this journey. And when you reach the end point of meta-consciousness, Allah is so much in love with you, even more. This wilaya concept of Allah is so much in practice that then Allah tells you, Yani, my Siddiq, Yani, my beloved, tell me what you want me to do. Tell me what you want me to do. This is the level of, imagine if this is what the society or even a portion of the society is, then I tell you something, you would see the beauty of Quran in the society implemented. Even 50%, it will be, half a Jannah already. And this is what we want. People and practitioners, academia, scholars of this. Remember, a scholar, guys. A scholar, of course, he has hikmah on top of the ilm. A scholar is a hakim who understands a subject from variety of angles. If I call myself, inshallah ta'ala, with the tawfiq of Allah, as scholar in Islamic finance, I have to understand Islamic finance not from the basic aspect, but from the political aspect, from the social aspect, from the economic aspect, from the legal aspect, from the financial aspect, from the spiritual aspect, from the societal aspect. So many aspects. This is what defines that I'm a scholar, because I understand my discipline from a variety of angles. You see, this is what makes me hakim. And this is what gives me now the state of unconsciousness. Now I'm conscious and moving towards subconscious and societal consciousness. The more I put in effort with the right niyyah, the more I go further in my journey towards meta consciousness. And we want at least, if not conscious, at least right now, we want more subconscious people in Islamic finance, or at least conscious people in Islamic finance. Right now, we are living in an unconscious world of Islamic finance, where non-issue become issues, and hence non-topics become topics, etc., etc. So imagine a society that does. Western civilization, which still are trying to do, they have tried to remember, as I mentioned, the end maqsad is unity. And unity can only be achieved by, socio-economic justice. So to do that, and to achieve, no, socio-economic justice is not the end game. Unity is the end game. The way to achieve that unity among them is ensuring equitable socio-economic justice. And a society that is on this path will only realize these modes and means towards the end natija of a tawheedi, unified society that is full of trust, and etc., etc. West has tried to implement this in whatever human way possible. And of course, it's all funny. It's all man-made. Many names who have talked about justice and economic justice in a society: Jeremy Bentham, Pareto, John Rawls, Nozick, James Buchanan, Amrita. These are top names who have worked on theory of justice in system. And the slide is self-explanatory. Their understanding of justice is so half or so blurred that they have not been able to reach. Their understanding of justice is at best semi-conscious understanding of justice. And this is why they are coming up with a system of neuroeconomics, behavioral economics, SDGs, every now and then, because it's such an incomplete understanding of the whole notion of justice, and hence the end game, which is meta-conscious-led unity of the society through assuring automatic socio-economic equitable justice. They will come up with all of these for every 10 years, you have a new falsifier in the market. You are now talking about behavioral economics, neuroeconomics, new institutional economics, social contract theories. I mean, a few years ago, Nobel Prize was given on social contract theory to people who did that. So on and so forth. These are all, fancy names of incomplete efforts, because they are intellectual deficiencies that allow these incomplete efforts. And if you don't fulfill those intellectual deficiencies, man, oh man, this trajectory will, even for the rest of 50, 100 years, will remain the same. And these people try to do whatever best. And we're not saying that because they're operating at a certain background, at a certain worldview, which is led by so many man-made intellectual deficiencies, and they are detached from the falsafa, or the true falsafa of process of becoming, or the journey of becoming, their work would always be incomplete. And somebody else would come again and put in another theory, and it will be an improvement of the previous theories, and this will go on in an unending way. This is where, and as a natija, this is what happens. This slide is so explanatory that if I work on a semi-conscious Western worldview-driven society and implement their approaches in my system that actually is built for a meta-consciously driven system or a subconsciously driven system, then end product would be much worse than what I have. I would be targeting something else. I would not be operating as per my fitra that Quran talks about, or in this case, Islamic financial fitra. So this is the natija of those end results. I mean, slides would definitely be given to you. I want to pause here and see if there are any questions, and you can read the slides, because the next slide, I'm telling you how Islam can create that equitable socio-economic justice through a society that is performing and operating on a process of becoming model, and then achieve unity, the end game of Islam. And this is what is what the rule of Islam is. And very simple. So you don't need to be a Buchanan or a Pareto or John Rawls or Nozick or or Jeremy Bentham or Amartya Sen. These are all top names, and Amartya Sen is a Nobel laureate due to his works. So, on theory of justice. So, but look at the falsafa of Islam. Simple. If you want to achieve unity, please make sure the way to unity is to assure socio-economic justice first. And if you are driven on a path of becoming model, then make sure to achieve socio-economic justice or justice in general, so that you can have a much more trustworthy, unified, euphoric society. Simple falsafa. Give everyone their right to and put everything at its rightful place. Simple. You follow this falsafa, this simple rule that Islam gives you, and give every person their right due and put everything at its rightful place. Late Islamic countries are in such a, fitnaful situation, or in such kharafat, because they're doing absolute opposite. People are not getting their right due, and wrong people are sitting in rightful places, or right people are sitting in wrongful places. So this actually destroys the whole. And do you expect a socio-economically just system that will cater unity? At all, not at all. So if you practice on a path of becoming process, this rule, this would assure economic. It's so simple, so simple. It's not only justice, but socio-economic justice, which will eventually foster more unity in the system. And of course, this is not only silo. You have other rules. The beauty of the Islamic system is that it allows you so many support rules to implement the main rule. This is the main rule for socio-economic justice, but there are support rules, property rights rules, corporate rule, contracts rule, governance rule, Sharia governance rule, market behavior rule, production, exchange rule, distribution and redistribution rule, and the main rule of doing financial muamala, the al-bay'a, the mother of the main qanun, al-bay'a rule. So you have to implement them to achieve this main rule, and then eventually not an equality-based society, but an equity-based society. People are so misunderstood about equality. I want to be equal to someone. You can't. Elias asked a question. Elias, this is your answer. You can't have an equal society, even at the path of becoming, or the process of becoming. Although you're Ashraf and you can move on to become equally good, or if not better. But what Islam wants is a society that is equitable society. This picture is the best explanation I could find to explain the concept of equality versus equity. And in an equity situation, everybody is in a win-win. While in an equality situation, still at the expense of it's still not the same, or still does not give you the entire. So Islam is all about equity. It talks about economic equity, not equality, gender equity, not gender equality, and so on and so forth. It's all about equity, neither equality. This is a misunderstanding, a fallacy that people, this just tells me that this is an unconscious society who cannot even differentiate between equality and equities. Islam is equity. Even virasa is equity. The inheritance laws and all the qawaneen and rasul of Islam all assures equity. An equitable society is lazim a just society, and eventually a more unified society. Equality, it is so un-Islam. It cannot be equal. This destroys the basic falsafa of Allah Ta'ala making people in different position and capacities so that they can complement each other and reach equity rather than equality. Imagine if everybody is same, lookalikes or equals, then what's the fun? This is not generally talking about. And this is what I have to say, guys. Let me know if you have any further questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mughees. I think we still waiting for some questions from the participants. There is some raised hand. Let me check. Okay, Muhammad Jidda. Brother Muhammad, welcome, Brother Muhammad.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. أستاذ تفضل أستاذ.
حياكم الله. I would like to thank the organizers of these Sharia seminars and workshops for daily constant of event, and I appreciate them for the well-being these days. Alhamdulillah. Brother Mughees, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation that you made just now. I think you have touched the areas that we, the bankers, or as a human being who is working in an Islamic bank and finance, or also working in a conventional bank, to look at those areas. I think this is a very, very, very touchable point that we need to always remind ourselves with, internally or even globally, for the all bankers to know about. That is a wonderful area. For me, the point that I want to make is about the Sharia scholars in general. Actually, when we say the Sharia is the backbone of Islamic banking and finance, so the maqsad, the objective of Sharia always is looking at the 5 maqasid of Sharia that we all know. But what I'm looking at now in the industry, we are very far away from this maqsad of the Sharia. So when you look at the Sharia scholars from, I don't know the other region, but for my own region here in Nigeria, that is the sub-Saharan African here, we are totally not practicing what is actual we study about the Sharia. So I would like Mr. Mughees and the organizers of this Sharia consultant to make the difference very clear and to make things like them to understand, like, are we really trying to make the Sharia real, or we are just having a certificate in a Sharia that we offer for people when there is any vacancy of job. So Alhamdulillah, this part of presentation is very wonderful. I appreciate all and thank you so much. Jazakumullah khairan.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. It's very kind of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad. If anybody has any comment, any point to add to our lecture or any question, please. We are still waiting for answering. For
we have 5 more minutes.
Yes. I think Dr. Ilyas would like to ask something else, I guess. Dr. Ilyas, again.
Thank you, Dr. Muhyiddin, and thank you, Mr. Mughees, for your excellent presentation. Actually, just I want to comment about your answer for my question. I understand your point of view, and we can conclude that there are 3 things, regarding to the employees, regarding to the public, regarding to the scholars. I am with you totally 100% regarding to the employees and especially the top management and the scholars to be fully understand the Islamic banking transactions, and be familiar with everything, especially the Sharia scholars. We are suffering in the Islamic banking through the 40 years that you mentioned in your presentation, that we have poor and Sharia scholars by understanding 2 things. They should have a knowledge for 2 things. The first thing, the Sharia, and the second thing, the process and the transactions and the finance, to collaborate between the Sharia and those transactions and get better reviews for the Islamic banking and better accepting for the products. And also regarding to the employees, it is very important for the employees to have a good knowledge for the Islamic banking and to convince the customers about the difference or the main difference between the Islamic banking and the conventional banking or the economic in general. Thank you very much for your great presentation, and also I appreciate Dr. Muhyiddin and the Islamic Economic for their excellent lectures. And I am always attending all the lectures presented by the Islamic Economic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very kind of you, Brother Ilyas. And as I mentioned, one takeaway to answer again, just to comment further, and beautiful comment, mashallah, mubarak to you. And you've understood the whole session very well, it appears. Unless we do not do their tarbiyah from an understanding that we are also making them conscious to the rules in Islamic finance and put them on a trajectory of believers and visionaries, we will keep on facing the same issue. So it is up to us to be conscious first and then do a conscious tarbiyah of the practitioners of Islamic finance and the students. My worry is, and I've said it so many times, that we, even in the, all of us as collectivity, we are at an unconscious state. And we are made to do so because of these intellectual deficiencies that somehow, unfortunately, are still in the system. Let us combine ourselves and first pinpoint those intellectual deficiencies and address them as actual maqasid, as actual target of ours. Once those intellectual deficiencies are addressed, automatically you will see a different mechanics and colors and modeling of Islamic finance, and including the people who are in Islamic finance. And who knows that 50% of the battle is only removing intellectual deficiencies, and the moment you remove it, straight away the society becomes at a subconscious level. Who knows? Allah knows the nata'ij and the end result. So this is what my submission is, and this is why I always try and hit the core main areas in a way that Allah gives me tawfiq. And I can talk about a number of other issues too. I can even straight away talk about, Sukuk, or I have done a study which is comparing Kuwaiti Islamic banks versus Omani Islamic banks, and this is how they are performing, and what is the disclosure, what is the equity market looking like. I can bring even the most advanced gadgetry and econometric analysis and can tell you Falah will move like this, Falah will move like this is the percentage, this is the variation, correlation, etc., etc. But am I serving the actual effort to remove the actual intellectual deficiency where you're not even clear about the Islamic falsafa and what's the end result? You see what I mean? So this is where there is this vacuum, there is this structure and objective, intellectual structure and objective mismatch. And this is the price that we have to pay. And I call this as a surrogate Islamic finance led by surrogate experts. Sorry about using this language.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Ilyas, for your participation. And thank you, Mr. Mughees, as well. I think, can we take just last one question from Mr. Abdulaziz?
Quickly.
Abdulaziz. Please welcome Mr. Aunik Ma'ruf Abdulaziz.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My name is Imam Abdulaziz Aunik Ma'ruf, one of the regular attendees of the programs of Islamic Economics Club. I attend your program every day, at times twice in a day. I want to commend you first and foremost for what you are doing for Islam. Jazakumullahu khaira. Jazakumullahu khaira. Jazakumullahu khaira. You are educating us. You are increasing our knowledge. You are widening our horizon. I find it difficult to miss any of your lecture every day. I find it difficult. I register every day and I attend the lecture every day. I gain something every day. I listen to the speakers that you have brought. May Allah continue to increase your knowledge. May Allah add it to your skill of good deeds on the day of Qiyamah. I'm Imam Abdulaziz Onike. I'm the Imam of Nasrullah Party, NASFAT. NASFAT is an Islamic organization in Nigeria. We have about 1 million members all over the world and about 350 branches, and we have a university of our own. I'm also a PhD student of Islamic finance at USM in Malaysia. Mr. Mughees, I thank you so much for the way you have elevated the concept of socio-economic justice and Islam. We really gain a lot from your presentation. And I like mostly the way your graphic representation of equity, and equality, where you show two pictures. And that is what Islam says. And I want to corroborate your submission by saying that if somebody has two wives and he wants to say, oh, I want to practice equality, and he buys clothes for two of them, same yard, 10 yard. One of them is fat, one of them is slim. The one that is slim will not use up all the yards. It means he will have extra yards for our children or for our relatives. That is not equality. That is not equity. That's not what Islam is talking about. And you have demonstrated that by giving us graphic description of what Islam means by equity. In Islam, equity means giving somebody what is due to him or her. You have done wonderfully well. And I would like you again to, I would like the Nadi Islami to consider bringing you back to come and talk on Islam and fintech. You are realize that you are certified in that area. You attend an MIT course in that area.
Yeah,
Islam
well,
and
inshallah.
yeah,
Thank
Islam
you,
and
thank
fintech
you, my brother.
has a lot of concepts that are not really known in Islamic
Thank you,
banking
my
and
brother.
finance.
Thank you, my
Yes,
brother. Thank you very much for your appreciation and your very kind words. May Allah bless you. May Allah give us more tawfiq to collaborate and contribute in a synergy for the development with the right niyyah. And definitely, Brother Muhammad is aware that I am more than available to keep on contributing to this beautiful
Islam
platform.
and fintech. There are so many concepts there.
That's right. Inshallah, on fintech. We did a fintech session, but I will ask him to arrange another one. We'll just talk about the jiddat of fintech. So thank you very much, guys. It's a pleasure always to be a part of this platform. I hope that I was able to create some value, whatever tawfiq Allah gives me. Please keep me in your prayers that more tawfiq comes to me and that I can distribute and enjoy it collectively with all of you guys in the right way.
Thank you very much.
That's right.
Yes, Mr. Mughees. Thank you very much, and thank you all. We are almost concluding our session today. On behalf of Islamic Economic Association, Adil Islami, we would like to thank all participants and all attendees for joining us and for your support. Thanks again, and we will see you again. And on behalf of association, we would like to thank Mr. Mughees Shaukat for your time and effort and for presenting your thought, your philosophy, your understanding. We really benefited from your lectures, and we benefit always. May Allah bless you, may Allah reward you all. Thank you. And thanks to organizer and all members in the Islam, especially Dr. Ala, who is the Director General, and all my speakers, moderators. And see you again in next program. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام. See you inshallah.
See you inshallah.